Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of the Kinnikuman video. If you guys missed part 1, there should be a playlist linked in the description down below. And if you haven't already, go and support Bumbles. Link at the very top of the description, like always.
The game would get 2 further revisions in the form of Kinnikuman Muscle Generation for PSP, and Galactic Wrestling featuring Ultimate Muscle for PS2. Who the hell is featuring them? It's their game. Neither game adds much to what Legends vs. New Generation did, so let's briefly go over the differences.
Alrighty.
Galactic Wrestling ditches the cel-shaded art style, which I honestly prefer. One look at Kinnikuman between the two, and it's obvious the change was for the better. The gameplay is significantly slower and worse, with the removal of power-ups making it much closer to a standard wrestling game, of which
Wasn't that a similar issue that happened to Multiverses? Well, I mean, Multiverses had a lot of other issues as well, but that was one of the complaints that I heard, that after it went back into development, they had changed the gameplay significantly to make it a lot slower and just more boring. Way less fun to play.
Which this game is not a good one. The camera is much tighter and the AI is much harder. Fights that in Legends vs. New Generation could be handled with mashing now require careful planning and loads of cheese. Ground grapples.
That sucks, yeah. I don't mind that there's sometimes video games where you can sort of cheese the AI by using certain strategies, but personally, I don't want to play on difficulties that require me to do so. Thinking of something like, say, Total War Warhammer 3, where if you're gonna be playing on the highest difficulty, there will be certain fights that you just gotta abuse the AI. To me, it's just not fun, and if that's sort of the normal difficulty that you're gonna be playing on, then yeah, I don't even know if this game would suffice as like a party game that you can just have fun with friends playing.
Were added, but to the game's detriment, as the AI can now trap you on the ground without a chance to fight back due to the game's poor counter system. I do so love being trapped in 5 consecutive arm bars with no way to get out. Create a Wrestler and Story Mode, 2 of the bigger single-player options, were both removed. And the new Survival Mode is not nearly enough to make up for their loss. The roster, compared to Legends vs. New Generation, is massive, and includes fan favorites like Black Hole, Ashura Man, and the Hell's Missionaries, as well as various alternate costumes from the original manga. There are now special openings for when you recreate fights from the original show, fully voiced as well, and again sticking to the original manga's story. They kept in stuff like Robin Mask having history with Neptune Man as Quarrel Man, Wars Man giving Ramen Man brain damage, or Prince Kamehame passing on the title of Kinnikuman Great to Terry Man. I swear to God he's not a Nazi! Sorry, I mean I swear to God that's not blackface! His body is as strong as
There's a lot about the series that can be pretty sus, but I think overall the general reception of it is that you just gotta get over it. You just see past it for the character. When you're able to do that, the general consensus seems to be that it's just a cool character that happens to wear Hugo Boss sometimes. But yeah, I think it's really cool that they recreate certain scenes that happen within the series. Just as like a little nod towards the fans, which I think is something that Dragon Ball FighterZ also does. And that is one of the points about that game that people do enjoy. Actually, is it FighterZ or do you have to pronounce it as FighterZ? Not sure.
Iron, so they thought, well, we'll just make him black and then give him Kinnikuman's lips, so it's not blackface. Now this is blackface.
Holy.
They even refer back to the original manga over the anime. Like when Brocken Jr. says Ramen Man split his father in 2. Something that doesn't happen in the anime, but does happen in the manga. The voice acting itself is, overall, really good. Sure, Eric Stewart has to bust out his Asian guy voice a few too many times, but there are plenty of good performances. Mark Thompson as Kid Muscle, Ted Lewis as Kevin Mask, and Wayne Grayson as Checkmate and Neptune Man are some of the highlights. But at the top has to be J. David Brimmer as Sunshine. I can't imagine him sounding any other way.
Beetlebomb, you're such a cream puff, but you don't know real fear until you witness the horror of the sandpit. Cherish the day! Finally, the House of Mask, our bloodline that was attacked in this past generation by that pretender, King Muscle, shall exact its revenge!
No way, it can't be! Is that you, Dad? Oh man, I don't believe it. I thought for sure I was gonna get matched up against some big-time legend like Warsman or even Neptune Man. I can't fight you, Dad!
Overall, Ultimate Muscle featuring...
Yeah, I could see it. Surprisingly good voice acting for a game like this, like what you would expect from a game like this.
Galactic Wrestling is a fine enough game, but the added pizzazz with more characters and intros can't offset the fact that the gameplay is just worse. Finally is Kinnikuman Muscle Generation for PlayStation Portable, this time exclusive to Japan. I'll keep this even briefer, seeing as on the third go-around, I surprisingly have less to say about the game. This is better than Galactic Wrestling, but I still think Legends vs. New Generation is the best one. This does away with the pre-match dialogue from Galactic Wrestling, but plays faster. It doesn't have Creator Wrestler, but it does have Kinnikuman Soldier. This guy sells the game on his back. Kinnikuman Soldier is so goddamn popular.
Really?
How can the main character playing dress-up as a G.I. Joe be not just more popular, but leagues more popular than the actual main character?
Yeah, what happened?
Read the damn book and find out. It also kinda brings back story mode in the form of character-specific.
If I had to assume some sort of like epic story moment happens, or this character just has some lines that leave a lasting impression on the audience, I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why this could potentially be the case. Or maybe a meme formed around the character, who knows?
Arcade towers, a la Smash Ultimate. Overall, it's a good game and really shows how graphically nice the PSP can be when it's exactly on par with the PS2 version. But after playing all three of these things, I've definitely concluded that it peaked with the first game. It might be the least nice looking, but it damn sure is the most fun to play. Now, the GameCube and PS2 games were the only ones we ever got in America. Like I said, the PSP game is stuck in Japan, but as long as we're pilfering, we might as well pick up something for the home consoles too. See, Aki didn't just work on the party fighter side of things. As in the arcades, we got a much more traditional fighting game called Kinnikuman Muscle Grand Prix. This was a 3D fighter, which played closer to something like Tekken rather than Power Stone, and both it and its sequel would come to the PlayStation 2, with the game we're covering being Muscle Grand Prix 2 Tokumori, the sequel's expanded revision. All we're missing by not covering the original is their story mode, which does cover the original story up until the end of the Devil Knights arc. Not only does Tokumori add to this by including the rest of the series, the Dream Tag Arc characters and the 5 Fated Princes from Scramble for the Throne, it also includes more Nisei characters, like Scarface, Terry the Kid, and Barrier Freeman.
Well, back in the day, it seems more like fighting games whenever they got like a new release, quote unquote, like a 2 or something. It was basically just the first thing, but with more added content, which would essentially nowadays be called DLC. So in instances like this, yeah, probably just play the second one. Unless, of course, if there's like a massive balance change that happens between the two games, then maybe you'd want to consider it two separate things.
Not enough time in the day to go over what the fuck is wrong with this guy. It's like his colostomy bag has a guy in it, and neither of them are happy about it. Tokumori also adds a tournament, practice, collection, and special mode, all of which are brand new to the Grand Prix games. Practice is gonna be really useful for me, since I find I'm actually really good at fighting games when the opponent doesn't move or fight back.
Hey! Same! Yo, we got something in common, Bumbles. Hell yeah.
Let's keep it basic and start with good old Suguru. Oh,
holy.
I'm sorry, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Fans of watching Japanese men die might be familiar with this announcer, as she's Lenny Hart, the ring announcer for Japanese MMA promotions like Pride, Dream, and Ryzen.
Yo, that's awesome. We got an actual announcer for this? Like a well-known voice too, I would assume. A well-known announcer for these sort of events. That's awesome.
Her voice is iconic for fans of combat sports, and anybody familiar with fighting games would recognize her as the voice of the announcer from Tekken 8. And fans of being weirdos might...
We haven't tried out Tekken yet. Someday.
Recognize her as Axel from Mega Man X7. Why the hell is this not a thing I'm lying about? Anyway, her announcing in Muscle Grand Prix is so good. Her voice gives the game this feeling of being a big event simply by how hard she tries. Though, try and tell which one of these is a reused voice line of hers from Muscle Generation. Of all the characters to mess up, they really picked the worst one.
I was like, wait, is it the second one? Is it the fourth one? The mixing might be a little bit different. No, it's definitely Soldier.
Picking a character has another layer to it, aside from just who sounds like they'd be the most fun to play as depending on which button you press when selecting, you'll get a different costume. Both anime and manga colors, as well as
Pretty
a different
standard.
costume from specific arcs. Like Kinnikuman's
Cool.
Scramble for the Throne costume, Terryman as Kinnikuman Great, Sunshine as New Sunshine, and Big the Budo as Neptune King. Add on to that the stages, which span the entire franchise, and the background music, which uses tons of anime remixes, and you can feel the love for Kinnikuman bouncing off of the screen. Now it's time to talk about gameplay. Oh, damn it, do I gotta wear the fighting game dunce cap again? After selecting your character, you get introduced to the first new mechanic
That's
of
why
the
we're
game,
here.
Burning Inner Strength. These are your grooves out of Capcom vs. SNK, or ISMs in Alpha 3. Each one of
Haven't
them
played either of
represents a
those yet.
special state your character can enter when your back's against the wall, and each color correlates to a style of recovery. Blue makes your basic attacks stronger and makes you move faster. Green gives you super armor and reduces damage taken, and red
Okay.
will buff your special moves, letting you perform them for cheaper and giving them extra damage. Mixing and matching the
Nice. So I guess maybe like a slightly different max mode from King of Fighters, because in King of Fighters, like, you can enter max mode in order to combo certain specials off of other specials that normally wouldn't be the case. And I believe you also do more damage with your supers, although this might vary depending on which King of Fighters you're looking at.
These special modes, not only to fit your playstyle, but also your character, is super important when picking the game up. Before even
Gotcha.
learning a character, this choice influences so much about how you play and what you focus on. It makes Muscle Grand Prix so much more interesting than it might seem on the outside.
Yeah, it's really cool that this isn't something that is tied to the character. It's like a universal option that you can pick and choose from, plus whatever character that you're playing to adapt to your playstyle. Kind of similar to something like KOF, was it 97 or 98? Where you could select a particular control scheme for your character, or like how you built meter, which would make the way that you play your own way. Or like, if you press a certain button with one mode, you do a dodge roll, with another you do a sidestep or something else. I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, but it was pretty neat when I learned about it. That regardless of the person that you played against, it would always be unique to them. So you'd have to come up with the unique strategies and adapt to their sort of play style as they're adapting to yours.
It's a lot of fun getting in, and you would never guess that this team only ever worked on sports simulation games instead of serious one-on-one fighting games, because the controls are great. You only have one
Awesome.
attack button, that being a basic 3-hit string, with a grapple, special, and guard button backing it up. Saying
Okay.
this game has depth with only one real attack button sounds silly, but trust me, getting into the combos, and there's plenty you can do with just this. Your basic strings are usually that 3-hit combo, modified by what direction you hold when you hit, usually on the first or last hit, sometimes requiring 2 different directions mid-combo. It reminds me a lot of the Rumblefish, being a 3-hit fighter that requires you to use your other tools to extend.
We're gonna have to learn about the Rumblefish from Thorgy's channel at some point. He did mention it during the KOF retrospectives, and Serbia had some interest in it, considering that they had fish in its name. I wonder why.
Those in this case being your special and grapple moves. If you're one of those people who can't stand grapplers in fighting games, just... It's not
Don't play
even
this
worth
game.
getting upset about this one. Everybody's a
Yeah.
grappler. For grapples, you can either throw them out raw, or string them into your combos when your opponent is staggered. You get different grapples based not
I wonder if there's like hit stun and invincibility from getting grabbed if you're in the middle of that. I would presume no, because that's kind of this entire game.
just on when you use them, but if you do an input alongside them, and if the opponent is facing away or not. Grapples are quick and visceral. It's a great feeling to end out a long combo with a satisfying slam, and it makes you want to see just how far you can get in before having to rely on the grab. The easiest way to...
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a very interesting approach to combat, where it's like, for the most part, whenever you're doing your basic bread and butter combo, you want to have it in a way where it ends with you being at advantage. As in, like, you give your opponent a hard knockdown, forcing them to guess on wake up, which usually you would do by doing a string of moves in a 2D fighter. But here, I suppose, it kind of simplifies, but also expands. Yeah, I get what Bumbles was saying, where, you know, it seems simple because there's only a few buttons to press, but there's a lot of different ways that it can go, depending on how you want to route your combo. And ultimately, it all ends with like a grapple, I would assume, or into a special that gives you a hard knockdown.
To extend combos is with a special move, with your combos either setting up for them or stringing along with them very naturally. They range from single strong hits to flashy grapples, all the way up to level 9 killer moves that can end a match in an instant. Unless you're Banky Man, in which case you can end the fight whenever you want. These special moves can also be combos themselves, requiring input after input to keep them up. Stuff like Kinnikuman's Furin Kazan, Warsman's Palo Special, or Robin's Special Course of Death, you have to keep the inputs up at specific times to keep the move going.
That reminds me of doing Bullet Super in BlazBlue Central Fiction, where you kind of have to time your 360s in order to keep the super going. I wonder if this is standard fare for 3D fighting games, because outside of Bullets, I don't think there's ever been a character where I had to do that. But then again, I usually don't play the more complicated fighters or characters, because, well, I'd rather learn the neutral game and the flow of combat than trying to memorize all my buttons, which is not something that I'm very good at.
Both the skill floor and ceiling for this game are deceptively low and high. You can get a basic grasp for how the game flows and what combos you can easily learn out of the gate, but the more you learn, the more you'll see how much this game is hiding. The characters I gravitated towards as I started out included Brocken Jr., unfortunately, who has a really easy-to-learn string using just directions rather than traditional inputs. Big Body clearly favors raw damage over flashy strings, Springman has great range and fun special moves, and Black Hole has a really fun playstyle, having loads of branches off of a repeatable cartwheel move. The two characters I played the most, though, were Stickasay King and Robin Mask. Stickasay was definitely more out of me loving him rather than loving his playstyle. Look at him! He's an adorable walking cassette player who cleans out his connectors at the beginning of a round. Stickasay King is adorable, and I love him. However, don't make the mistake of clicking square when you pick him, or instead of Stickasay King, you'll get Harold, who is his ugly redesign from the anime. This guy eats socks for a living and has only felt the touch of a woman when being slapped. Since Stickasay has his Chojin encyclopedia that gives him access to everyone's moves, they gave him the highest amount of specials in the game. Having one for every situation.
So he just swaps out the cassette thing in his body to copy people's moves? That's kind of hilarious. I love that idea, actually.
Show, he ends up losing when he puts in Kinnikuman's tape and plays it, only to find out it's a tape of Kinnikuman from 3 years ago when he was a coward, and it causes him to lose his spine. They adapted this into the game by making it his getaway dash. Is this many moves practical? No! Not at all!
But it's funny.
But for how good they did adapting my favorite Devil Chojin, I had to like it. Robin Mask is both fun and practical, though, because he's a really good character. His pokes are really strong and fast. His combos are easy to pull off, and he has a wide variety of utility supers. I will say that what made me stick with Robin Mask was this combo. It's the first thing I learned with him, and when I say I was giddy after successfully learning it, I mean I was way too excited to learn a fighting game combo. It's just so cool looking and satisfying to pull off, and I was happy when I finally nailed it.
I mean, that's one of the aspects that can get people into fighting games, no? Seeing somebody doing something really cool by pressing a few buttons and being like, hey, I want to do that too. If it doesn't look cool, then what would be the point of trying to play? Of course, different people will have different reasons why they get into it. But I think visually speaking, if you're like somebody who's never played a fighting game before, the visual aspect, the wow factor of a fighting game is certainly going to be one of the major pulls towards it.
This catch out of the air tower bridge is the entire reason I play Robin Mask, I won't even lie. You can show this move off in arcade mode, which will pit you against a few different opponents on your way to either take on Akuma Shogun or Super Phoenix. And because this was first released in arcades, Super Phoenix is an absolute ballbuster. Is it any wonder this guy's the only one you see winning competitive events? They forgot to ban the boss characters. You may notice as you fight, though, that you're collecting these little coins. Well, fear not, there's no Kenkeshi figures in this game, no need to start over from zero. Instead, these coins mean something much more. See, whenever you get one of these coins, it means you copied a moment from the original anime. Whether that's performing a tower bridge on Kinnikuman, or doing a reverse tower bridge to Junkman.
That's
if you do the moment, you'll unlock an anime still showing off the moment. But wait, they're in black and white? That's because you didn't get it quite right. If you want a colorized version, you have to do it with the correct costume equipped and be on the right stage. So if you do the Robin special to Kinnikuman Mariposa, you get the colorized version, because you perfectly emulated the version from the anime.
Neat.
This is such a cool way to do what so many other anime games do and include stills from the anime as unlockables.
Yeah.
Actually performing these moments and making it feel like an achievement. Doubly so when you accurately perform the moves is an ingenious idea, and one I can't believe isn't used in every anime game.
I've never heard of something like this, actually. And I'm surprised that it isn't done more because, well, this is a game for the fans, and the fans would want to recreate it, so give them a bonus for doing so. It takes effort, it takes time to actually fully recreate this. But it feels special because you're the one doing it. In a different way, it could also be used as really good motivation for learning specific things about a fighting game too. Like, if you wanted to copy this moment from the anime, then you're gonna have to learn how to do the specific combo that would lead into it.
Once you finish arcade mode, you can try out tournament mode, which is really where the game being in Japanese is an issue because I have no idea what any of this means. I think it's set up that you can play through specific tournament setups as whoever you want, which, if I'm right, is a really neat way to do it. Of course, I could be wrong, so don't check. While this game does do away with team battles, a mode in the previous games, it does make up for it with 2 whole other games. That's right, the original 2 Famicom Kinnikuman games are included here as a side attraction.
That's
Touching
cute.
briefly on the competitive scene, and it's dense. You have a Mizumi page that details frame data and meter gain for every move in the game on most characters, a Discord filled with helpful information all about the game, and plenty of tournament footage from as recently as 2023. Sure, it'll only really be useful to see how to beat Super Phoenix, which you can't, but still, for a Japan-exclusive fighting game, there are so many resources for how to get better. Speaking of those tournament videos, it does show an unexpected top tier. Dare I say a silly one? The Mountain. Now, in a fight against most people and a Giant Rock has my vote. But the Mountain is a real one-hit wonder. As in, he only has one thing that is making him top tier. He has a grounded projectile super that does this. Hilarious.
Insane damage.
Overall, I'd say that Muscle Grand Prix 2 Tokumori has been one of my favorite parts about becoming a Kinnikuman fan. Getting to play a fighting game that's so unique, so deep and yet so approachable, has been a blast. I recommend any fighting game fan to at least try the game and see if it's your speed.
Yeah,
I would
maybe
love
someday
to see the community around this game expand. I would also like to see that scene where Suguru beats Super Phoenix on repeat for an hour or two, that'd be nice. Now, from here, Kinnikuman is trapped in mobile game hell, with only high-quality art of every no-named loser in the show to show for it. But there is one more game. And it's barely playable in its current state, but I think playability is second in this case to just how wonderful this game really is.
Really?
Welcome, Kinnikuman Muscle Fight for the PC. Released back in 1998, Muscle Fight is a 1v1 2D fighting game made by fans. The original build was developed in Japan by Mayaton, a Japanese developer in the 2D Fighter Maker engine. This game has to be one of, if not the longest supported fan game of all time. Seeing regular roster additions up until this very day. Now, how do you play this? Do you really want to know? Let's leave it at this. Lupine Calibrator on Twitch is a goddamn saint, because they walked me step by step through the process of installing Muscle Fight, even after I failed to understand their instructions about 3 separate times. You have to trick your computer into thinking it's Japanese. After getting
okay, yeah, you just use a Japanese locale. I played a few games that required that.
Game to run, you'll have a few different options, which Lupine was kind enough to help me translate, which are free battle, arcade mode, and tournament mode. Arcade mode, what you would expect. A bunch of
Is that a dude with a butt for a head?
Fights all back to back with a big boss fight at the end. Which boss fight? Take your pick. Tournament mode is tournament mode, but has various different settings that you can unlock by beating arcade mode. You can unlock a Scramble for the Throne style tournament, a tag team tournament, or just the standard tournament mode. This will give you incentive to try out a few of the game's 90 playable characters.
Jesus, that's even more than King of Fighters. I guess when it's a fan-supported project that is still receiving updates till today, and yeah, this is kind of how it ends up.
These characters aren't just the ones you'd expect, like Kinnikuman and the other idol Chojin. No, this includes dozens of deep-cut characters from one-and-done jobbers, characters from forgotten anime arcs, every single Scramble for the Throne team member for every Fated Prince, Kinnikuman lady characters, don't got the time in the day to talk about it.
Oh yeah, you guys did fill me in on that. That it was actually a comic from the Kinnikuman series. We saw it mentioned in the previous part of the video.
Even having altered versions of characters depending on the arcs. You've got basic Kinnikuman, but also Scramble for the Throne Kinnikuman.
This is just
you have Soldier
pure
and
love
Super
for the series,
Phoenix,
man.
But also Omega Centauri arc Soldier and Super Phoenix. This game even has lost media, as there are some Kinnikuman Nisei characters that were created for it, but the files to play as them are pretty much impossible to come by. With a roster so big, you might ask how Mayaton was able to make them all, and how they're still making them to this day. Well, that's the reason I think Muscle Fight is worth discussing, and why I'd call it one of the greatest fan projects of all time. It's communal. This isn't just the work of Mayaton or any one person. Every one of the different characters in Muscle Fight was made by somebody else. Sure, there are a few characters created by the same people, but aside from the basic characters it would have started out with, Muscle Fight owes its entire roster to the community surrounding it. Even those original characters that would have been there from the beginning have had to be rebalanced and modified as the game goes along. And you want to know the best part? Because every character was created by somebody passionate enough to take the time to make it, there are no dud characters. From the gag characters based on toys, to the warring gods, every character is made with love and appreciation. They take a character like Pinchman, who does not matter until the most recent arc, and they gave him a real moveset, with some flashy super moves to boot. Nobody should put the effort in to design multiple unique backgrounds for Mr. VTR, who is a camera with a man attached to it. But they did! Stekase King, looking cuter than ever, gets a bunch of game original transformations he never had in the manga. even going all the way up to copying the final boss. In cases of characters who either had a small amount of dialogue or, in the case of newer 2011 characters, no voice at all, they'll also use sentence mixing in order to get the lines they need for round intros and wins. It's a special type of charming to hear the voice lines broken up the way they are, even if it's in a language I don't understand.
Look, it might be a little jank, but yeah, as I said earlier, this comes from a place of pure love for the series. And also to come up with these characters, put them into a fighting game after adapting them into one and just rebalancing them. It's like planting a seed and watching it grow slowly into a giant tree. You just gotta nurture these characters into the form that the fans would love to see and play. By the fans, for the fans. This is just... I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen something like this. I can't think of the last fan project that I've seen that has like this much history and love put behind it. Although I guess to be fair, I didn't even know about Kinnikuman until I'd watched Bumbles for the first time, so yeah, I guess I'm sort of out of the loop here.
The biggest reason the characters have to be as intricate as they are is because of the main feature that makes Muscle Fight a joy to watch. It's anime accuracy. Playing any anime game, at some point you're going to want to recreate fights from the source material. And since Muscle Fight is a fan game, that means the devs wanted to see the same thing.
Yep.
Almost every character has a special animation that triggers when fighting a character they fought in the original manga. These range from secret special moves that can only be triggered under certain conditions, secret cutscenes, or even counter supers that you can use to break out of an opponent's mid-move. In Kinnikuman's fight with Buffalo Man reverses the Kinniku Buster by flipping over. And in Muscle Fight, you can perform the same counter. Same with Super Phoenix and the Kinniku Driver. Most of these just exist to make Suguru's life worse. Except against Dekase King, funny enough. If you use his Devil Symphony against Kinnikuman, it'll end like it does in the show, where the broadcast gets cut off and gives him the chance to escape, because Dekase King didn't read the radio schedule. These special animations can also be references themselves, like Neptune Man getting Buster Wolf as one of his supers, or Pinch Man getting Dirty Buffalo. They'll even reference other Yuritamago manga, like Warsman's secret special move where he summons Scrap Sandeo, a cop who's made of trash, who actually had a cameo from Warsman in his own series. There are way too many instances of unique animations to go over. A compilation of most of these clock in at about 40 minutes. So, instead I want to talk about the game's crowning achievement in this regard, and massive spoilers for Perfect Origin Arc's ending, but it's the final fight between Strong the Budo and Akuma Shogun. The people who worked on these two characters had such a deep appreciation for the source material, and it bleeds into every part of their moveset. The amount of animations, counters that counter counters, and mid-match cutscenes that accompany a Strong versus Akuma Shogun fight make every one a mini-movie. The special dramatic ending is a note-for-note remake of the final clash from their fight, and it's done absolutely beautifully. Right, boys? What you got for round two? Any scene of note you can think of.
What you got for round two? That was like the end of an anime episode. And yeah, you can tell that there's like a little bit of a sentence slicing here, but regardless, it still sounds good enough for a game like this. I appreciate it. I appreciate the amount of effort that was put into this. Now, the people who love Kinnikuman really do love this series.
From the original manga can be recreated, and it makes this game an unbelievable playthrough for a Kinnikuman fan of any level.
Yeah.
Speaking of playthroughs, you might have noticed that we haven't talked about the controls. Well, this game ain't a huge amount of fun. It's a basic 3-button fighter on a game engine older than me. It's janky, clunky, and all sorts of awkward. I can't really recommend this if you're looking for a proper, well-made fighting game. God, is it not a proper fighting game?
Well, no, not at all. This is for the fans. This is if you know about the series and you're trying to recreate something, you're gonna get it out of this. But this ain't making it to the main stage of Evo for sure, which is fine. This doesn't need to be that. It knows what it is and it does it very well.
You know one of the problems with every character being fan-made? I'm not going through all the trouble of animating, coding, and creating a D tier. Certain characters in this game just have such insane stuff they can do that reasonably fighting them is near impossible. As a game, it shows every second of its age. As a fan work, though, I can't bring myself to say anything negative. This is one of the greatest fan works I've ever seen, and represents so much love put into this series from a community that holds it so dearly. If you're as crazy as I am and want to practice cold fusion to get the game working, it's best to do so as a sort of toy box to watch CPUs fight each other. But if you're really interested, you can also check out compilations and fan animations using Muscle Fight. Muscle Fight Movie on YouTube hacked together a remake of the series through Scramble for the Throne using editing tricks and Muscle Fight. Even if the game isn't worth it in the long run, I truly hope Muscle Fight never stops getting updates. Any series would be lucky to have a fan project with even 1/10 the love that Muscle Fight does.
100%.
And it couldn't have happened to a better series.
Well, I was not expecting that at the end, because we hadn't learned about the game at all, but it's a good note to end on. And man, this series really does just have something special about it. To have fans who are willing to go above and beyond to make these sort of projects for it is kind of insane. I always love, like, seeing new series or learning about some new thing that I didn't know about before that has a community surrounding it that is like this. It just makes me feel really happy knowing that there's a lot of people who just love the same thing and are super passionate about it. Maybe that's weird to me, but that's just me, I guess. But anyways, dudes, go and support Bumbles, and thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one.